Welcome to episode 3 of the Snatch Chat Podcast. So I'm your host, Connor Oates. I'm here on my own today. Episode 2, I was joined with James after the English Championships. And then the next episode, so next week, I'm actually joined with Jo. And we go over her competition at the English Championships and sort of how she got into weightlifting, why she got into that sport, and what she's sort of done since being in weightlifting. So she's only really been weightlifting for 18 months, probably towards sort of like that 2-year mark now, and having that goal of just getting stronger to now sort of competing and looking to sort of push herself as far as possible. I think it's for me, it's a really, really good story. Definitely tune in for next week. But yes, it's just me today. I am joined with a Tropical Blast Zero. So for those of you that know or remember the drink Lilt, this is Aldi's knockoff version. So in today's episode, we're gonna go through a few of the questions, and I'm gonna give you some answers for that. So let's get ourselves started. So it's not a first question, but first episode was a belter. Thank you very much. I am buzzing about this sort of podcast, and for me, if I can just shine a little bit of light, simplify the sport, that is all that matters. I just want to help those of you that find weightlifting confusing, really enjoy the sport, and just want to get stronger and improve their technique. This is for you. So hopefully, over this sort of next few episodes, you get some insights and you start to understand the simplistic way of looking at the Olympic lifting movements. So first question, how to recover after a session the next day. So if I train on a Monday and then I am looking to sort of for argument's sake, we want to train Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You've got that 24 hours in between each session. Your biggest things that you want to try and look at is making sure the day of that training session, you're getting a good night's sleeping. Okay, obviously that varies for people, especially genders as well. Women will need more sleep, but for a general rule of thumb, 7 to 8 hours is probably what you sort of want to be looking for. Again, that is going to vary amongst a lot of you. I do quite well on 6 hours sleep. 6 hour sleep for me, I know that I'm quite well rested and will feel quite good the day after. I can't remember the last time I slept for 8 hours. That just doesn't happen. One of the goals I actually set this year was to see if I could wake up every day around 5 a.m. Every day I've been awake before 6 o'clock. You know what? I actually feel so much better for that. So even if I do have a later night and I don't get into bed for that 9:30 sort of time, I think it's really good at just waking up at the same sort of routine. But anyways, less of the sleep. But that's the first thing you want to sort of think about is the sleep after that session. But then the day after, the two biggest things that you want to sort of think about is hydration and nutrition. So making sure that you're drinking plenty. You're probably going to feel DOMS. With weightlifting, you don't necessarily always feel DOMS, but it's a lot of pressure on the central nervous system. So hydration is key. Making sure that you're just having, complex carbs throughout the day, as well as having high protein meals, but making sure that you're actually getting in like your micronutrients as well. So fruits and vegetables. Probably look at like leafy greens, just to give you that extra bit of nutrition to help you sort of with that recovery. And the same sort of goes if you're sort of having back-to-back sessions. You're training Monday, Tuesday, for example. You need to make sure that you're sleeping, but hydration and nutrition are the biggest things to think about there. Now, there's foam guns out there. Not foam guns, foam rollers, and like the massage guns, and you're not really going to get much benefit for that. And I think for a lot of us, we can still nail our hydration and nutrition to maximize that. I don't think I'd put my hand on, I'd go out there and actually say that I think all of us sort of lack somewhere with our hydration and nutrition, that if we look to improve that, we'd have a better recovery system in place between our training sessions. Next question. exercises or drills to get better at jumping high that will help with extension in the snatch and clean. Now, if you're not familiar with any of the sort of the things that I put out on YouTube, Instagram, or you're not having coaching with me, for a better understanding of where this sort of question is coming from, is I always tell my lifters, you want to think of the snatch and the clean, even the split jerk, as well, is that the movement is a vertical jump. You're just going to treat the lift as a vertical jump. The higher you jump, the higher the bar travels. The higher the bar travels, the more time that you've got to get into that movement. So you'll hear me a lot saying the term jump high, stamp hard. Okay, jump high, stamp hard. It's trying to force you to think about changing direction. So once you've jumped, you're looking to pull the body, not the bar, pull the body into that bottom position. We're never looking to sort of pull that bar overhead for the snatch or to the shoulders. It's all about jumping high. The higher you jump, once you then start to focus on dropping into that bottom with aggression and stamping hard, you'll naturally start to see that the arms look like they're pulling the bar, but it's not an active pull. Okay, it's more the direction of the elbow. Elbow comes up. The arms are very much like the steering wheel of a car. Okay, all you're looking to do is flaring those elbows up so the bar stays nice and close. So you're steering it, keeping it nice and close. You're not looking to aggressively yank and pull that bar into that end range. So if you're struggling to understand that jump, the first thing you've probably got to do is slow the lift down. Okay, now we don't need to move the bar fast off the floor. You could literally go super slow until you reach your power position. So for the snatch, hip crease. For your clean, it's going to be that top part of the thigh. That is where you're going to try and execute as much power as possible. Jump high. Okay, so once you reach your power position for the snatch and the clean, all you're looking to do is think of that position as the light switch. As soon as I feel that movement, I'm just going to really try and think about jumping high and stamping hard. Okay, so that's how you want to execute the movements. Get to the hip crease for the snatch, focus on jumping high so that we don't need any speed until you get to that hip crease for the snatch, jump high, stamp hard. The thing that you could look to do in your warm-up is literally hold the bar in your hip crease, go into a high hang, so just a vertical dip and drive, and go for a vertical jump. Okay, you have got to get really good at high hang snatches, high hang cleans, because we want to try and make sure that we're pushing off the midfoot in that power position, not coming up onto our toes too soon, because then obviously it's going to be an instability in the movement. So we want to think about dipping and driving, staying planted through the foot, jumping high, stamping hard. So you could literally just go for high hang vertical jumps, but then high hang snatches, high hang cleans, and then looking to try and progress into it. So if this is an area that you're looking to improve, high hang snatches want to be a big thing in your program, as well as your warm ups. But then looking to get into like 3 position snatches, 3 position cleans, 1 high hang, 1 hang. Can you flow from the hang back into your high hang, execute the vertical jump? Rep 3, full snatch, full clean. Can I get back to my hang position before? Can I get back to my high hang, execute the vertical jump, the jumping high and stamping hard? Okay, so I wouldn't necessarily look at putting anything in there. We can talk about, putting in some plyometrics and jumps training and stuff like that. But really, we want to try and keep this specific to the Olympic lifts, going for vertical jumps from a high hang position, going for a 3 position lift or a high hang lift, and really trying to work on that vertical dip, jump, stamp. All right. Next question is, do you have a pre-lift routine? If so, what is it? So what is my pre-lift routine? Okay. So if I am getting ready for a set, before I even think about my next set, before I even step towards the bar, I am either doing 2 things. I'm looking back at the video of the previous set, looking at the area that I want to fix, looking at the way that I'm moving the bar. Okay, was my back angle okay in the start position? Was I keeping that bar close? Am I staying midfoot towards that into that sort of power position? Am I stable in the bottom position? So this is where I'm looking to really analyze the movement. If I'm not viewing footage of my last set, I'm trying to visualize how I want that movement to go. How do I want that bar to feel against the body? And it's more sort of about closing your eyes and trying to think about the feeling of that movement, how that bar is going to feel against the shins, how that bar is going to feel against the thighs. Where am I sort of going to get to before I look to drive up nice and high? So I'm either visualizing or analyzing. From that, then I'm now going to get ready to step towards the bar. And rather than carrying on that visualization or thinking about the analyzing the full lift, I'm just thinking about that one thing that I want to change. Okay, whether that's sort of pushing off hard off the floor. Can I really push through the center of the foot? Can I make more contact with the thigh? Is it get to your power position, staying through the midfoot, trying to just stay on the heels and hold back from sort of dropping into that bottom position? And I'm trying to bring that down to just sort of like a keyword: push, push, push. Or whether it's sort of hold back, push off the floor, hold back, push off the midfoot. And I'm sort of just going over these few cues as I set up to the bar. As I set up to the bar, this is now where I just need to try and simplify even further. And I'm not necessarily thinking about the movement. I'm just thinking about that one word. Or sometimes I literally think of a blank canvas. And the reason I think of a blank canvas is, I don't know whether you're a lot like me, but as soon as I contact the bar and I roll it towards me, that is then when the negative thoughts come in, and it's like, oh, this is going to be heavy. Okay, am I going to get underneath this? And then sometimes I'm even like thinking about how I'm going to fail it. But just thinking of a plain piece of white paper or canvas blocks those thoughts from happening. And all I'm going to write on this canvas is push or drive hard or, get tall. And I'm trying to visualize those words on that piece of paper, and I'm not thinking about that lift. Because as soon as that bar leaves the floor, the lift is over. You haven't got time to think. So sometimes just having that word on the canvas is the only thing that's in my brain, and it's going to prevent me from overthinking that lift. I think so many people overthink the Olympic lifts, and it's easy to do so. The lifts are really complex. There's so many things going on, but you cannot correct those things in the moment. You're going to have to correct those behind the bar before your next set. That's when you want to analyze. That's when you want to sort of visualize how the movement goes. But as soon as you sort of step up to that bar, you're going to lift in the next 10, 20 seconds. All you're going to try and think about is that biggest cue that's going to get you that perfect lift. All right. But hopefully that helps. Next question. I'm really enjoying listening to the podcast. Thank you very much. It means the world to me. But what motivated you to succeed and come up with all these new ideas for the business? Okay, so the podcast came about because I want to help as many lifters as possible. But when you think about the podcasts that are currently out there, now there's nothing wrong with the podcasts. I am a massive fan of Weightlifting House. Grip and Rip had a podcast as well, which is really, really good. But they're sort of talking to that intermediate people that know those movements inside out. But there's nothing there for the people that enjoy the sport but want to progress and find a way to simplify the understanding of how to complete the Olympic lifts. So with this podcast, I want to try and keep it as real as possible. Have questions from people like yourself that I'm coaching currently, that the questions that they're asking themselves, that they want to ask me for a simpler way of thinking about it. For example, just how to recover between sessions, what is your pre-lift routine? These things might sound basic for a lot of people, but these are the things that we need to try and simplify to be able to squeeze out the most out of your lifts. So for me, I want to create a platform, a community of ways to simplify the Olympic lifting movements, so people can get the very best out of their own lifting routines, and that's why like I've got different things coming up. So right now I've got Broomstick to Barbells, which is a 6-week program that is designed for people that are literally right at the beginning of the journey. They really enjoy the way that Olympic lifting looks, want to get into it, but sort of feel so confused of where to start. And this program is looking just to sort of go over those foundational parts of the lifts, how then we start to layer it up. So the biggest thing that I tell a lot of people when they start out in Olympic lifting is that think of the movements like a drop snatch. Sorry, not a bloody drop snatch. Think of the movements like a jigsaw, okay? You've got the edges and the corners. Those edges and corners all need to fit before you start to look at the middle part, the picture, okay? So, for example, when it comes to the snatch, it's drop snatches, tall snatches. Drop snatches show us the speed that we want to get into the bottom position. We then progress that up into a high hang snatch, that vertical dip and jump. As we jump, can we execute the same speed that we found in the drop snatch? We then look to progress to the hang snatch, which is a high hang snatch back into the drop snatch. And then we look to get into the full snatch, which is a hang snatch, a high hang snatch, and back to the drop snatch. And keeping it nice and slow and flowing throughout all of these positions. And making sure that these foundations are absolutely pinpoint perfect before you try and level up to that sort of the next piece of the jigsaw. Because all you'll find is that if you try and speed up this process too soon, you'll start to fall at the hurdle. That's when plateaus come in. That's when bad habits start to make an appearance. So it's all about trying to make sure the foundations are solid. The bigger the foundations, the better the house is going to be. And the 6-week Broomstick to Barbell program is all about creating the biggest, strongest foundations for your Olympic lifts. And what I can do, a little bit of a plug here, but what I can do is I'll put the link down. So if you link below in the description. So if you are looking to get into weightlifting, but you find it really confusing, click on that link, purchase it. And obviously, yeah, you'll be coached by me. It's not just a 6-week program. Get left to it. You'll gain your access onto my online training platform. You'll get your program. You'll submit your feedback via videos. I will get back to you with cues, tips, and things to sort of think about when you're doing these movements to help you learn and fully understand the Olympic lifts. And I am that confident. I've helped hundreds of people over these last few years understand and learn the Olympic lifts. I can guarantee you that you can do that within just 6 weeks. And there's so much moving forwards as well. Like the one thing that I'm looking to try and do is create a community where, you know, people like yourself can join this community. They'll get access to like mini trainings for all the Olympic lifting movements. Because I think the biggest thing, you know, so I want to try and simplify the movements, like I've just said, but on top of that, if you want to understand and learn the Olympic lifts, training helps, but knowledge is key here, okay? And the thing that I want to try and do is help educate as many people understand those movements and understand what I am looking at and what I see. What I want to help people do is see what I can see, so you understand and learn how we then start to break the movement down and then look to go from A to B. But yeah, that's obviously, there's loads of things coming up, and the podcast is just the sort of the thing that I'm sort of setting up now to try and get as many people on this channel to help them simplify the Olympic lifting movements. So if you're listening to this and you have friends that are learning the Olympic lifts or confused, you need to send this podcast to them. Let's get as many lifters on or listening to the Snatch Chat, because I've got so many things that I want to sort of do over this sort of the next sort of couple of months. And it's only really going to be able to be done is if I can get views on this, get people's feedback. What do people want to see more out of Snatch Chat? So then we can start to push everything forwards. Because I literally want to try and get weightlifting is such a cool sport. And I think from going from the English champs last weekend, like, it's so good to see how many people are there. But I want to get more people competing in Olympic lifting or doing Olympic lifting. Look at High Rocks. Like, look at how many people go to High Rocks. Weightlifting is so much more enjoyable. And I want to get people in it. But anyway, that's it for today. Hopefully you've enjoyed episode 3. If you've got any sort of feedback or things that you want to see from this podcast, drop it in the description or drop it in the comments below. Let's get as many people Olympic lifting as possible. Make sure to follow, subscribe, and like this so we can then carry on getting more episodes out there. See you in episode 4.